Good day, beautiful people. This is Natalie Silva with Life Treasures and Golden Moments. Welcome back. How y'all doing today? I hope you're having a great week and looking forward to a great weekend. Today I'd like to share a story with you on compassion, and it's called A Song in the Dark, authored by Max Lucado. On any other day, I probably would not have stopped. Like the majority of people on the busy avenue, I would have hardly noticed him standing there. But the very thing on my mind was the very reason he was there, so I stopped. I just spent a portion of the morning preparing a lesson out of the 9th chapter of John, the chapter that contains a story about the man blind from birth. I'd finished lunch and was returning to my office when I saw him. He was singing. An aluminum cane was in his left hand. His right hand was extended and open, awaiting donations. He was blind. After walking past him about 5 steps, I stopped and I mumbled something to myself about the epitome of hypocrisy, and went back in his direction. I put some change in his hand. "Thank you," he said, and then offered me a common Brazilian translation. "And may you have health." Ironic wish. Once again, I started on my way. Once again, the morning study of John 9 stopped me. Jesus saw a man blind from birth. I paused and pondered. If Jesus were here, he would see this man. I wasn't sure what that meant, but I was sure that I hadn't done it. So I turned around again, as if the giving of a donation entitled me to do so. I stopped by a car and observed. I challenged myself to see him. I would stay here until I saw more than a sightless indigent on a busy thoroughfare in downtown Rio de Janeiro. I watched him sing. Some beggars grovel in a corner, cultivating pity. Others unashamedly lay their children on blankets in the middle of the sidewalk, thinking that only the hardest of hearts would ignore a dirty, naked infant asking for bread. But this man did none of that. He stood. He stood tall, and he sang, loudly, even profoundly. All of us had more reason to sing than he, but he was the one singing. Mainly he sang folk songs. Once I thought he was singing a hymn, though I wasn't sure. His husky voice was out of place, and amid the buzz of commerce, like a sparrow who found his way into a noisy factory or a lost fawn on an interstate. His singing conjured up an awkward marriage between progress and simplicity. The passerby had various reactions. Some were curious and gazed unabashedly. Others were uncomfortable. They were quick to duck their heads or walk in a wider circle. No reminders of harshness today, please. Most, however, hardly noticed him. Their thoughts were occupied. Their agendas were full, as he was. Well, he was a blind beggar. I was thankful he couldn't see the way they looked at him. After a few minutes, I went up to him again. "Have you had any lunch?" I asked. He stopped singing. He turned his head toward the sound of my voice and directed his face somewhat past my ear. His eye sockets were empty. He said he was hungry. I went to a nearby restaurant and bought him a sandwich and some cold drink. When I came back, he was still singing and his hands were still empty. He was grateful for the food. We sat down on a nearby bench. Between bites, he told me about himself. 28 years old, single, living with his parents and 7 brothers. "Were you born blind?" "No. When I was a young kid, I had an accident." He didn't volunteer any details, and I didn't have the gall to request them. Though we were almost the same age, we were light years apart. My 3 decades had been a summer vacation of family excursions, Sunday school debate teams, football, and a search for the mighty one. Growing up blind in the third world surely offered none of these. My daily concern now involved people, thoughts, concepts, and communication. His day was stitched with concerns of survival, coins, handouts, and food. I'd go home to a nice apartment, a hot meal, and a good wife. I hated to think of the home he would encounter. I'd seen enough overcrowded huts on the hills of Rio to make a reasonable guess. And his reception, would there be anyone there to make him feel special when he got home? I came whisker close to asking him, "Does it make you mad that I'm not you? Do you ever lie awake at night wondering why the hand you were dealt with was so different from the one given a million or so others born 30 years ago?" I wore a shirt and tie and some new shoes. His shoes had holes, and his coat was oversized and bulky. His pants gapped over from a rip into the knee. And still he sang. Though a sightless, penniless hobo, he still found a song and sang it courageously. I wondered which room in his heart that song came from. At worst, I figured he sang from desperation. His song was all he had. Even when no one gave any coins, he still had his song. Yet it seemed too peaceful to be singing out of self-preservation. Or perhaps he sang from ignorance. Maybe he didn't know what he had never had. No, I decided the motivation that fit his demeanor was the one you'd least expect. He was singing from contentment. Somehow this eyeless pauper had discovered a candle called satisfaction, and it glowed in his dark world. Someone had told him, or maybe he told himself, that tomorrow's joy is farther by today's acceptance. Acceptance of what, at least for the moment, you cannot alter. I looked up at the Niagara of faces that flowed past us, grim, professional, some determined, some disgusted, but none worth singing, not even silently. What if each face were a billboard that announced the true state of the owner's heart? How many would say, desperate, business on the rocks, or broken, in need of repair, or faithless, frantic, and fearful? Quite a few. The irony was painfully amusing. This blind man could be the most peaceful fellow on the street. No diploma, no awards, and no future, at least in the aggressive sense of the word. But I wondered how many in that urban stampede would trade their boardrooms and blue suits in a second for a chance to drink at this young man's well. Faith is the bird that sings while it is yet dark. Before I helped my friend back to his position, I tried to verbalize my empathy. Life is hard, isn't it? A slight smile, he again turned his face toward the direction of my voice and started to respond, then paused and said, "I better get back to work." For almost a block I could hear him singing, and in my mind's eye I could still see him. But the man I now saw was different than the one of whom I'd given a few coins. Though the man I now saw was still sightless, he was remarkably insightful, and though I was the one with eyes, it was he who gave me a new vision. What a touching story, and a reminder that we just need to look around us and be thankful for the blessings we have in our lives. Before I close today, I'd like to share another poem with you, and the author is unknown, and it's called I Asked. I asked God for strength, that I might achieve. I was made weak, that I might learn to humbly obey. I asked for health, that I might do greater things. I was given infirmity, that I might do better things. I asked for riches, that I might be happy. I was given poverty, that I might be wise. I asked for power, that I might have the praise of men. I was given weakness, that I might feel the need of God. I asked for all things, that I might enjoy life. I was given life, that I might enjoy all things. I got nothing I asked for, but everything I hoped for. Almost despite myself, my unspoken prayers were answered. I am among all most richly blessed. This is Natalie Silva with Life Treasures and Golden Moments. Until next time, take care, have a beautiful week, and God bless.